Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into AI compliance. As artificial intelligence gets smarter and more integrated into everything we do, a whole new global rulebook is being written. So let's get a handle on what these new rules actually mean for you and your organization.
And just a quick heads up before we really get going, this explainer comes straight from Chapter 9 of the tutorial by Virtualization Options LLC.
So let's kick things off with the one question that's probably on every leader's mind right now. Is your organization's AI really ready for what's coming? Because believe me, the regulatory world for AI isn't just changing, it's transforming at lightning speed. You see, for the longest time, AI development felt a bit like the Wild West, right? Kind of lawless, with everyone racing ahead. Well, those days are officially over. We are now stepping into a whole new era, one with complex, global regulations, and everyone needs to learn how to navigate it, and fast.
This new world of AI compliance is a totally different ballgame. Seriously, this goes way beyond your standard IT security checklist. We're now talking about some really deep fundamental issues. Things like algorithmic accountability, which means your AI has to be responsible for its decisions. We're talking about bias prevention, making sure it's fair, and transparency, being able to actually explain how your AI got to its answer. These are the new rules of the game.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's get specific. What does this new global rulebook, this regulatory map, actually look like? There are a few key regulations that absolutely have to be on your radar. First up, the big one, the EU AI Act. This thing is a game changer. It takes what's called a risk-based approach, so it outright bans some uses of AI, puts incredibly strict rules on systems that it labels high risk, and demands transparency and a human in the loop across the board. The key takeaway here is you can't just build and deploy an AI anymore. You first have to figure out its risk level. And that term, high risk, you have got to burn that into your memory. The EU AI Act defines these as any systems that could seriously impact a person's safety or their basic rights. So think about AI used for hiring, for deciding on a loan, or even in law enforcement. These kinds of systems are going to face intense scrutiny and assessments before they ever see the light of day. And hey, don't forget the old rules still apply too. If your AI touches any personal data, any at all, then GDPR is in full force. This puts limits on purely automated decisions and forces you to build privacy in from the very beginning. It's a principle called privacy by design, where data protection isn't an add-on, it's baked into the core of the system from day one. And finally, this isn't a one-size-fits-all problem. Far from it. On top of these big, broad regulations, industries like healthcare, finance, and automotive have their own very specific, very strict rules for AI. You have to know the rulebook for your specific playing field. Okay, I know, that's a lot to process. The whole landscape is incredibly complex. So the big question is, how do you even begin to tackle it? Well, the key is to have a clear, strategic plan. Let's walk through one. Here's a pretty practical 5-step framework. Step 1 is assessment. You got to know what rules even apply to you. You can't comply if you don't know the law. Next, gap analysis. This is where you take a hard, honest look at where you are now versus where you need to be. Then comes program design, where you actually build the policies and procedures to close those gaps. After that, it's all about implementation, rolling it out, and crucially, training your teams. And finally, monitoring and auditing. Because compliance isn't a one-and-done thing, it's a living process. You have to keep checking to make sure you're staying on track. A plan on a slide is great, but execution? That's everything. So how do you turn this plan into something real, something you can actually practice day to day? Well, you have to be able to see it, to track your progress. Just imagine having a compliance dashboard that looks something like this. Right away, you can see what's going on. In this example, data protection looks great. It's at 90%. Transparency, pretty good, 75%. But whoa, look at model governance. That's all about managing your AI models from start to finish. It's lagging behind at 65%. This one chart instantly tells you exactly where you need to focus your attention and resources. It turns this huge, overwhelming idea of compliance into a manageable, data-driven task. And that really brings us to the final big thought for today. It is so easy to look at all these new rules and see them as roadblocks, as something that's just going to slow everything down. But what if we look at it from another angle? Is compliance really going to stifle AI innovation? Or Could it be the very thing that builds the public trust that AI needs to truly, truly thrive? Something to think about.